What's the secret to the best tasting lasagna? Well, you're about to find out. Pronto? Allora andiamo a cucinare. Ciao my friends, welcome to my kitchen. This is where I teach you easy recipes for healthy everyday cooking. And today we're going to make this fantastic lasagna. Please make sure you stick to the end because I'm going to show you this great idea that you can use with any leftovers you might have. So to start with, we have our pot. I have it on medium-high heat. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. And to that, I'm going to add an onion that I have diced. And then I have some garlic that I've minced. I have about 6 cloves here, but if it's too much, you want to only put 4, that's fine. But I've got about 6 cloves of garlic. And to that, I am going to add some salt. And I just want to give that a stir, and we just want to cook this until the onions get a little bit translucent. So the next thing we want to add to our lasagna is our meat. And this is where I think people, when they choose the meat they put in the lasagna, a lot of people just put straight ground beef, which is fine, you can do that. But I find that ground beef tends to be very dry. So I like to kind of mix up and do a combination of meats. So right here I have some beef, I have some sausage, and I have some turkey. The reason I'm using turkey is this is a classic meat combination with the beef, the pork, and the veal. But I don't like to use veal for obvious reasons. So I have found that if I replace the veal with turkey, I kind of get that same flavoring that the veal gives. So I have basically 1 pound of each. It doesn't have to be exact, roughly about that. So we're going to make this thick ragu sauce. So I'm going to add all 3 of my meats in here now. And I'm just going to break it up and just continue cooking until all the meat is cooked. And to that, I'm also going to add a couple tablespoons or teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And I'm just going to continue using this tool, which I love, just to kind of break up and cook all my meat. So while my meat is cooking, I want to get my lasagna noodles ready. And how I like to do them is really simple. It doesn't even take another pot. But I take my box of lasagna, place them in this baking dish, and then using very hot water from the kettle, I go ahead and add the water to this. It'll take anywhere from 4 to 6 cups. It just kind of depends on how deep your bowl is. But you want to make sure all the noodles are covered. And if you don't have enough water, you might have to heat some more water up. But if they just sit here for about 20 minutes or so, they will cook. So you won't have to worry about actually cooking your noodles. And then with the fork, I'm just going to kind of move them around just a little bit, just to make sure that there's none that are really stuck. And this here we can, like I said, just set aside for about 20-30 minutes and the noodles will get cooked enough. I like to do this way because I find that when you do it in a pot with boiling water, that boiling water can break the noodles, and so this will keep them more intact. So you'll have these nice long strips of lasagna noodles. So we'll just set that aside. Okay. So the next thing we're going to add is our sauce. And in order to get that really nice rich flavor, we're going to be using a couple different types of sauce. So the first one is this tomato paste that I have. I've got about 4 tablespoons, and tomato paste is very rich in flavor. It's very condensed. So we want to add the tomato paste first, and that'll just help kind of break it up a little bit with all the juice that's from the meat here and thin it out so we're not going to get clumps of tomato paste. And then to that, I'm going to add 2 cans of crushed tomato sauce. And then 1 small can of just regular tomato sauce. Then we just want to mix all those sauces until everything is evenly combined. And we can see what a nice, thick, hearty meat sauce this is going to be, which is also known as a bolognese sauce. Now I am going to cover this and let this cook for about 20-30 minutes so all the flavors can really work together here. And then to that, we are going to taste it for salt and pepper. But in the meantime, let's get our ricotta cheese filling prepared. So with our ricotta cheese filling, I like to use whole milk, so I am using 2 pounds. I'm just going to place it right in there. And to that, I'm also going to add 2 eggs, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, and I'm going to add some fresh herbs. I have some parsley and some thyme here that I've chopped up. I like to add the fresh herbs. That is another thing that makes, that's another secret to a good tasting lasagna, is using those fresh herbs, because fresh herbs just seems to bring a really good flavor to foods. I'm going to add some cracked pepper. And I am going to put a little bit of salt, but not too much, because we have the Parmesan cheese in there and that can kind of be salty. So another secret is to whip your ricotta cheese. A lot of people I know just kind of use the spoon and mix it up, but I find that when you whip it, you get more air in it and it's lighter and fluffier. And believe it or not, when it bakes, it actually, because that air is incorporated, it keeps that fluffiness. So having a nice fluffy ricotta cheese makes it really creamy. Now is where the fun starts. Now we're going to assemble our lasagna. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put some sauce on the bottom of our pan. Now I have this deep pan. It is a disposable. I am making this for our Bible study group on Thursday. So I just wanted to be able to carry something and then not have to worry about the cleanup. But if you have a lasagna pan, just make sure it's nice and deep, because we're going to add a lot of layers and flavor in here. Okay, so we've got that first layer of sauce. Next, we want to place our noodles that have been soaking, and you can see how beautiful they are. They're not broken up or anything. So we want to place a layer of our noodles on the bottom, and I just overlap them just a little bit here. Okay, so now I'm going to add my next layer of sauce. And to that, I'm going to add about 1/3 of this ricotta cheese. And you can see how nice and fluffy it is from that whipping. Okay, and I'm just going to get a spoon and just kind of spread it. And then to that, I'm going to add about a cup of mozzarella. And this is another secret to a good tasting lasagna. It's important that you add the dry mozzarella and not the fresh. I know sometimes people like to add the fresh because it is very flavorful, but the problem with that is there's a lot of water in fresh mozzarella, so that what will happen is that then your lasagna will become watery. So if that's one of the reasons that you've wondered, why is your lasagna watery, that could be one of the reasons. All right, now to that, we're going to add our next layer of lasagna noodles, and you can see they're just a little bit too big. So I'm just going to trim these up. And you want to go in the opposite direction of what you were doing, because we're trying to build structure. And so if they go opposite directions, your lasagna will hold up better when you go to slice it. Okay, and every time we add our layer of lasagna, we want to just kind of press, just so everything kind of evens out and we don't have like a hump in the middle or anything like that. All right, now we're going to add some more of our meat sauce, our ricotta cheese. You want to even that out. Now you can do as many layers as you want. If you want to just do 2 layers or 3 layers, whatever your pan will fit, that would be fine. Now we're going to add the next layer of noodles, and again we're going to go opposite direction of what we just did. Then we have all those little bits that we had left over that we cut up, so I'm just going to place those right across the top here. Perfect. Again, flatten it out. We just want to repeat what we did. Okay, so when we finish, we want to finish with sauce. We don't want to put mozzarella or anything else on the top. We want this to cook. So I have the oven preheated to 375 degrees, and we want to cover this with foil. And we want to bake it probably for a good hour. You'll notice the sides are all bubbly, but I'll show you what to do, how we're going to top it off here. But we just don't want to put mozzarella cheese on the top right now. We want to save that for later. So for right now, we just want to cook it. So let's get that in the oven. So we just want to add about 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese on top of this, and we're going to put it back in the oven and cook until it is nice and golden brown. And as we can see, our top is golden brown. It's all cooked. It's been resting. It's really important that we rest our lasagna for about 15-20 minutes. Otherwise, if you don't, it's so hot when you cut into it, it just falls apart. So I did mention that I was taking this to my Bible study for our dinner this evening, but I do want to cut into it and show you guys how wonderful this looks inside. So let me just cut out a piece. First piece is always the trickiest to come out. I'm nervous which way to pull it out here. Okay. We can see how beautiful that came out and see how perfect. It just held itself all together because it was sitting here and it kind of got a little bit of time to set. And you can see all those beautiful layers inside. And let's just go ahead and give this one a try. I'm gonna have a little bit before my meeting tonight. That is so good. You can taste the creaminess of the ricotta cheese because we had whipped it up and made it nice and fluffy. You can really taste that meat. It doesn't taste dry or anything because of the combinations of meat that we used. And you definitely can taste that sauce because we build on the different types of flavors. So if you have any noodles left over, and I had 3 left over, it wasn't enough to make another layer, and I had saved a little bit of the ricotta cheese, but this is a great appetizer that you can do. They're called just lasagna bites. So I'm just gonna cut these in half, and I'm gonna take some of the filling and just evenly spread it. I decided to make them even smaller. So now we just take them, just kind of roll them, and place them cut side down on our baking sheet. And some of the filling might pop out, and that's okay. Okay. And once we've got them all rolled up, then we just want to take our meat sauce and just put a little bit of sauce on top. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Then we want to sprinkle a little bit of mozzarella cheese on each one. And then we just want to place them in the oven about 400 degrees until the mozzarella melts, and then I'll show you how we finish them off and how we serve them. All right, so our lasagna bites came out. You can see how beautiful they are. Just place them on a tray with some toothpicks, and you can just serve them to your guests. You're gonna love this. This is just a great appetizer idea in itself, regardless of whether it's leftovers or not, but I hope you guys give this one a try and you have leftovers to try it. If not, just go ahead and make it. Perfect for New Year's Eve. So I hope you guys now learn how to make the ultimate lasagna with those few extra tips that I gave you, and I hope you guys give this one a try. I'm Chef Lucia, and until next time, I'll see ya. Ciao.